1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello and welcome to day 3 of my road trip around Europe. So day 3 started off in Munich, staying at the Holiday Inn, and fortunate, very good feature, they've got electric chargers. As you'll see in the picture now, we've got a Type 2, so I could charge it up, so I got like 480 kilometers on a full charge, so that's quite impressive. So I left there about 11 o'clock after doing my little video. Just take some practice in this video capturing malarkey, I've got to say. These YouTubers, James Cooks of this world, who do it every day, that is a challenge. I think I do it through this, but as a normal thing, it will drive you up the wall. Anyway, so day 3 started, so I left Munich, got out of Germany, crossed the border over into Austria. The weather was atrocious throughout. Although the road through Austria was very pretty, as you'll see with the pictures, but the weather was just abysmal, dangerous almost. But fortunately I was in a big fat Tesla, so it kept me on the ground, kept me on the floor. And if we cut now to my other video, I talk about driving in the wet in a Tesla with the autopilot. Hello, and here's a little bit, I thought we'd cover a few topics whilst I'm away, and one of them is driving a Tesla Model S in the rain. What is it like? Can you use autopilot? Well, the reality is, from my experience of using it, is that it is a very useful thing. I found autopilot to be very useful at a certain level of rain, but once it gets too much, I just rely on the adaptive, because I do think it actually provides better vision of the car in front than you can sometimes, like in this example where I'm driving through Germany at the moment, where the rain is just absolutely gushing down. Vision is limited, but the one thing I would suggest is that you put the distance on as far as you can onto 7 cars if you can, and that then gives you that bit of comfort that you're not going to go too far. And obviously just wind the speed down a bit, because it's been really badly raining here, and this has been a very useful method of being able to keep going and use the speed. But I should caveat that as much as you possibly can, that you need to be very, very careful, and if there's any issue, automatically put it on. And then the other factor, obviously, when it's raining, is the fact that you can put it on cruise control when you're dawdling, like I am right now, as I'm taking forever, and you can see that it's just going to follow the car in front and just plod along, and just keep going backwards and forwards, saving you all of that time and energy. Like my distance now, I'm off to hopefully get to Slovenia today, and it's just saving my energy just that little bit, which just gets you on the journey. So adaptive control is almost as good in itself as much as it is having the autopilot. I will do another episode where I actually explain, because I bought this second hand, is I wanted to explain the journey that I made in terms of the specifics of buying a Tesla and what you've got to make sure it has, because it's very much like a PC in that you've got to make sure it has the hardware built into it, and then you've got to make sure also that the software has been enabled, which isn't necessarily obvious, and when you're in the second-hand car market, that does become a bit of a trick. So those are your tips for raining, and for future ones we're going to cover off as well. So hopefully that will provide some use to somebody. I better get back to the road, because I'm just about to come up to the border. There seems to be a remarkable amount of lorries in Germany. Oh, pressed the wrong button there. That's the button that we want. and we can see. But as you can see, my need to touch the television, to touch the wheel, is drastically reduced as well, because you're going slower. It seems to, the need to touch the wheel seems to decrease as you're obviously going slower, and if you've got a car in front of you. That's what I've discovered, and that's purely my own observations. I can't guarantee that's exactly how it's written, but that's what it feels like when you're driving it. Anyway, I better get back to it. So there's your first handy tip of a Model S. Okay, so that's my thoughts on autopilot. So basically drove through Austria. Wasn't doing a huge amount of Austria, to be honest. Drove past Graz when the thunder and lightning started, so that was quite entertaining. I'm not sure what an electric car gets when it gets hit by thunder and lightning, but wasn't really wanting to find out, to be perfectly honest, so kept on going. And then fortunately Maribor is just over the border into Slovenia, so it didn't take me an awful lot to get here. So I was here about 6 p.m. Local time, and it seems very pretty. Not a huge town, in the mountainous region, very pretty in the hills in the background. Reminds me of Halifax in a certain respect, with having the hills all around it. So I got there, and you can see the centre if we cut to the clip. You can see it's a very pretty place. So I went out for a drink on the evening. Nice picture of a pint there, you can see. I had the fish and chips. Went to an Irish bar. It's very bad, not engrossing myself in the local area at all. That's not good. But we'll try and get that sorted out. It's just more difficult when you're only here for short periods of time. You've kind of got to wham bam, thank you ma'am, and get out of there. So it just makes it a bit tricky. Okay, so let's move on to day 4. So that's today. So I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. So the World Cup starts today. So I'm gonna need to be in Croatia tomorrow. So I'll go to Zagreb tomorrow, I think, and I'll head to the coast, this famous Croatian coast, today, and just have a little look at the seaside. So I'll do that. Hopefully grab the Russia game somewhere, and then the following day I'll head to Zagreb to watch Croatia play in Croatia. Watch Croatia play in the World Cup in Croatia. So hopefully that should be interesting, and I'll try and get myself a picture with some Croatian fans. That should be my challenge. I'll leave off the England shirt. I don't want to get killed or beaten up anywhere on any country, regardless of where it might be. Yeah, we'll keep ourselves a relatively low profile as much as we can. Okay, so that's it. I'll get myself a move on, need a shower and whatever, some breakfast, and then we'll hit the road. But I can see health and safety is quite interesting here. Hopefully this will come through. But if you look over into the distance there, you can actually see builders working on a roof, and I don't think there's any wires or any scaffolding. They are literally just building it on the roof there. Fascinating to watch. But you can see the mountains over there in the distance, which kind of reminds me, although not too far in the distance. Okay, that's enough. I'm waffling on. Okay, everybody, that's me off and out. I'll speak to you tomorrow.